What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Gaming with the Bros Cast, episode 145. My name is Harrison. I am joined by my brother Nick, as always, as he pretends to talk like me. Happy Halloween,
That was
everyone!
me. Ooh, happy Halloween!
Spooky.
Spooky. Or happy holidays.
Yeah, I have
First
officially put up my Christmas stuff. Almost. I
Yeah,
started
looks
it.
good.
Yeah. So I wanted to start extra early this year. Usually I wait like the week or like the week after Thanksgiving. But you know what?
Hey man, you do you.
Yeah, let's do it. So got my blow up Santa going. Got some lights on the tree. Still got my giant spider on my roof. But you know who cares? I might
You should
keep
like
him
put
up.
a Santa hat on it or something.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
A giant Santa hat on him. But yeah, we got a bunch of games to talk about. We're in that season right now. Just games are everywhere. Like almost too much games to play. I feel like
Honestly,
at the moment. But before we dive into that and the news, Nick, how was your week? How's your house doing? Are you still unboxing? Are you still rearranging?
That's what I was doing right before this. We got some shelves at IKEA this weekend.
Classic.
And I put those together yesterday, and we learned that the floor is kind of uneven, just like in this one spot. So it caused we there are three shelves, and we placed them right next to each other, and you could tell there was like a gap between them.
Like where your new flooring is?
No, it's downstairs,
Oh,
so it's
gotcha.
still flooring. But what I did is I got some, like the double-sided screw and actually screwed the shelves together.
Okay.
So I was doing that before this podcast, and then put the last thing together that I have.
Cool.
And that's pretty much it. And then it's just unboxing some more stuff, figuring out how I want to lay out the office. I got to get the couch upstairs. Got to put some more shelves up, but we're getting there.
Has there been any stuff that you have either when you were packing or unpacked that you're like, yeah, I really don't need this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've thrown some stuff away. I was like, why did I pack this? Why did I bring this to another place just to throw it away? And then of course, our parents brought me like a bunch of stuff for my room, for my room at their house, which obviously I haven't needed in 8 years.
They just want to get rid of it. They just want it out of the house.
Oh yeah. So I went through that, and I narrowed down 3 boxes to 1 box, which felt good. But I could definitely narrow it down some more. But okay. I did have one scare this weekend, and I told you about it.
Yes, but that is very scary.
I'll tell the viewers. So I guess
if you don't like eye situations, just mute us for like 30 seconds.
So I was decaulking the shower.
Okay. Yeah.
To put new caulk in, which we still haven't done yet. But we're decaulking the shower. So I was using an X-Acto blade to cut it out. And it's one of those X-Acto blades where once one part of the edge gets dull, you can break off a piece of it, and then you can just continue with the rest of the blade. It's not just like a singular razor blade. It's like one of those long blades that detracts from the mechanism.
Yeah, probably not the best one to use for caulking thing, or uncaulking, decaulking, whatever.
So I was going on a downward motion to get some caulk out, and I was kind of like, I wasn't close to it, but I was above it, and I went down too hard. I hit the ceramic, and something flew into my eye, and I was like, oh, like a piece of debris flew in my eye, and Alicia was like, I think it was the tip of the razor. Oh my god! I was like, no, stop! You're freaking me out. I don't think it was that. So I go to the mirror, I look at my eye, everything looks fine. I assumed that I had blinked it out, and I started to get back to it, and then I felt it again. I was like, oh shit! So I went to the mirror and I like peeled my eyelid down a little bit and
Ugh.
saw something shiny. And I was like, that's probably just like an eye booger or something. Like I was still in denial and like I
There's
kind of
no
like
way.
blinked it. Yeah. So I kind of like blinked it upwards and it went up like to the middle of my eye, like up near my retina. And I just took my finger and I just like kind of like just kind of looped
Yeah.
it out. And then I looked at it. I was like, shit, that was a piece of the razor blade that
Oh
had
my
landed
god.
in my eye. Here, I have a picture.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I mean, I've got to take a picture of it. That's the tip of my finger for scale, but
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Oh
So,
god.
so luckily it landed flush against my eyeball and it didn't,
Yeah.
it didn't pierce it. So that way it could have like, because it was flush, it kind of moved around like any other piece of debris
Yeah.
in your eye.
Oh.
But yeah, then I proceeded to Google like, can you get infected by having a piece of metal in your eye? And of course, like nothing was helpful because
It all said yeah.
no
Like
one, well, like no one gets a piece of metal in their eye where like it doesn't pierce their eye.
yeah.
Like this just happened. Oh, it landed in my eye. It alley-ooped into my eyeball. Whereas like all the other searches were like, if you get shrapnel in your eye, go to a doctor immediately. And I was like, this doesn't help. This isn't
Oh.
helping.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fine. Eye's fine. It's been a few days, and as I've learned through your experience, if something bad happens to your eye, you'll know right away, and it
Yeah.
should heal pretty quickly. And when it doesn't, that's when you should go get it checked out. So I was keeping your experience in mind.
Yeah. I almost lost my sight in my left eyeball. That was it's super scary.
Was it like 4 years ago, 5 years
Yeah.
ago?
It was 2019 when it happened. Yeah, 2019.
Yeah. Hey, share the story to the class. Let
Yeah,
us know.
so I guess to continue on with the eyeball talk, I just got off work and I was cutting grass, and I was wearing like sunglasses, which I always do when I'm cutting grass and weed eating and stuff, just to to be safe. And then I got some in my eye, and I just I thought it was like debris. Or actually, no, I didn't even get anything in my eye. I you know, later on that night, my eye was kind of bothering me. So I figured, hey, it's probably the grass clippings, that stuff got it, whatever. So I took them out
Yeah.
and then
Took your contacts
took,
out.
took my contacts out and then kind of went to bed and woke up. And like my eye was just really, really hurting. And I just thought, well, oh, gosh, maybe there's just something in there. So the next morning I get up, I put my contacts in, like I start driving to work, like, and my eye is killing me. Like, I don't know how I made it to work safe. But then I had my dad come pick me up after I got there about 10 minutes because it was just like unbearable pain.
Yeah.
And I just go to my normal like eye doctor, and he gives me like these medical contact lens that you put over your eyeball. Um, and then like later on, around like 5 or 6, like I was in like excruciating pain. Like if you never had like eye pain, like it's one of the worst like pains ever. And like we
Oh,
go back there, like he comes after hours and he's looking at it. He's like, all right, I don't like the way this looks or something. And when your eye doctor says that, like it kind of scares you. So he's like, here's some drops, like go to like a I don't know, like
a
a
specialist,
specialist or whatever.
I guess.
And long story short, it turns out I had a fungus in my eye, which the common is usually like I think like a virus or something in your eyeball, but no, it was a
Yeah.
fungus, and I had to get like this $300 droplets to put in my eye, and like that night that I went, like I could not see out of my eyeball. It was bad. Like it was really bad. Like I woke Brittany up. I was like, I can't see. She's like,
Oh
just
God.
we'll just have to see what happens. And luckily, like by the next day, it felt so much better after I got the drops. But yeah, it was scary. I missed like a week of work. That was but
God. Did they tell you that like there was a chance that you could lose vision in
I
your
think we
eye?
got it like really quickly. But there was like there ended up being like very minor scarring on my eye, and like I
Uh,
can, if I pay close enough attention, I could tell that my left eye has like a little less clarity, like as far as like vision goes. Like when I've got both eyes open, I'm looking, I can't tell. But if I close my right eye, I can see that it's a little less worse, than my right. So, but
And that's something that contacts cannot fix.
no, it's like a permanent scar. They were thinking that if the scarring was really bad, they were gonna have to go in with like a laser and trim off, like LASIK or something like that.
Yeah.
But luckily I didn't have to do that. So yeah, it was scary.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember going over to see you, and it was just like pitch black in the room, and you were just so out of it. Like,
Yeah.
I could tell, dude, you were just in so much pain.
Yeah, it was rough. It was a rough like week, really. Yeah. Like it's still like so when I get up in the morning and like I'm just kind of still in bed but like looking on my phone, like I still like close my left eyeball just out of habit. And I don't know why, because it was only like a week, but
Yeah.
I still do that sometimes. So yeah.
That's so weird.
Anyways, to get away from like the nasty eyeball stories, I had like a typical week. We did have a funeral we went to on Sunday. That was a nice service. And then on Monday yesterday was Halloween. We took the kids over to my parents' house and did a little trick or treating. That was a good time.
Well, treating. Did you eat any candy? Did you get any candy?
I had a couple pieces. I'm not a big candy guy. But I had a couple. I had a Reese's. I had a Starburst. Yeah.
You're crazy.
What?
You're a madman. A Starburst? A Reese's?
A Reese's? A Reese's Pieces? But I am more of like a. If I have to pick a candy, no, I'm more of like a. If I have to pick a candy, I prefer like Skittles or Starburst or something like that. I'm not a big chocolate person.
The fruitier,
yeah,
the fruitier flavors. I would say I'm the same, except I love Crunch Bars for some reason.
You do. You've always loved Crunch Bars.
Yeah, and Alicia's like, why do you like them? Like, there's so many other chocolate bars that are better than that. And I'm like, I don't know.
I would agree with that.
Simplicity of it. I think that's true, but it's just it's you know what it is? A Crunch Bar. It's straight up.
It's crunch.
It's just straight
crunch
up.
Bar.
It's crunch.
It's a bar of crunch.
It's Crunch Bar.
Yeah.
Chocolate Crunch. That's what you get. It's in the name. It's not Snickers where there's like, oh, there's a caramel hidden inside there and it might, leak out and, get on your tongue or something. It's like, it's chocolate. It's Crunch Bar. But
yeah.
I understand I'm in the minority. So
I mean, it's a solid bar. It wouldn't be my go-to chocolate bar, but if someone's like, "Here, do you want a Crunch Bar?" I'm like, "Yeah, like sure, I'll take a little crunch."
I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say no to a Crunch Bar.
Crunchy?
Yeah, a little crunch. But yeah, then we ended up after we got back, we just laid in bed and watched some Halloween Wars over on the Food Network.
Oh, nice.
To end the Halloween. So yeah, it was a good week. It was a good week. It was a good Halloween. I think next year we're gonna go to my parents' old neighborhood, to experience how crazy that is, because their neighborhood now, like, it's so tame. Like we maybe saw like 20 kids out there trick or treating.
I feel like it's more spread out.
Yeah, it's a lot more spread out. I think it's just a lot of older people too in that neighborhood. So I want to take them to the old one and witness the craziness that is that neighborhood. There's like 500 kids walking around.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was wild back then.
Yeah.
Like just kids just covering the streets.
Crazy kids.
Dance. We watched Barbarian.
Oh, how was that?
It was really good.
Sweet.
It wasn't like as scary as I thought it was going to be. But I really liked the story, and like I liked everything about it. Like I thought it was super tense, and it's one of those movies where you see the monster like halfway through, and then you just like continuously see it through the rest of the movie. So like that shock value goes down a lot, which some people like, some people don't. It makes sense in the context of the story, why you see them, and I don't know. I'd give it a watch. It's on HBO Max.
Okay.
So you can effectively watch it for free.
Sweet. Yeah, I've got HBO Max.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I was kind of wanting to watch a horror movie, but by the time I got like in bed, it was like already 11, and I was
And that'd be too scary.
yeah, too scary,
Too
too
scary that
scary.
late.
I was pretty tuckered out. So
Yeah, we were heavily debating it because it was raining pretty hard right when we were going to start the movie.
yeah.
So Alicia, she looked up the entire synopsis of the movie before we started,
Oh
so
my
she knew
gosh,
everything that happened. She's like,
why?
it's easier if I know. It's like it's less stressful.
I guess.
And I was like, don't tell me anything, and I don't want you to give it away on your face either
Yeah.
when something's about to happen.
I know what's gonna happen. All right, you want to dive into
Yep.
some games we've been playing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Nick, tell me your thoughts. You finished a Playtale. Tell me how you liked it compared to the
Let me
first
tell
one.
you a little tale. I really liked it. I thought it was a marginal improvement over the first one in terms of the gameplay itself, but the story was it was so gripping.
Yeah,
And the people who played Amicia and Hugo and really every other character, like they did such a phenomenal job of like portraying just the desperation
yeah,
of everything they went through in that entire game, which like
so much.
it's one of those games where nothing ever goes right. Everything is constantly going wrong. There's no moment of reprieve where you're like, okay, I can rest and you know look at a beautiful vista for an hour. It's like, okay, you can get this vista for about 20 seconds.
Yeah,
And then a million rats are going to come in
yeah. It's
and tear it
you
all up.
you walk through like this bustling town, and then the next time, like 5 minutes later, you walk back through, everybody's gone. You're like, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's one of those games like it's super depressing in that sense where no one's ever happy. It's never a happy moment. Like they're like tiny moments of joy and conversation between characters, but
yeah.
yeah, like everyone is just constantly berating Amicia for killing people. And
Constantly, like she.
yeah,
It's like she. That's one. That's two.
that's two.
Like what else is she gonna do? Like
Like honestly, like and kudos to anybody who played through the entire game without killing anybody unnecessarily.
yeah,
Because there are some places where you have to. But
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
for the most part, like I was tried to remain pretty stealthy. But I mean, yeah, sometimes you're forced to, make to have to kill somebody to get them out of the way.
yeah. I will say the mob battles are definitely the weakest part of the game, and they throw a lot of those at you towards the end.
Yeah.
Like within like the last hour, I think you probably do 2 or 3 of
Yeah.
like those mob battles where you use your crossbow, you only have like 2 or 3 bolts, and then you have to just run around, scavenge materials, and like Amicia isn't that fast,
Yeah.
and it's just hard. It's hard to know where everybody is around you.
Yeah.
So
At that point,
were a couple
there may
moments
be
where-
like 2 armored enemies that you have to like throw smoke at them, and then you have to go to their back and like hit like a part with your slingshot to like knock off the armor, and then you can like set them on fire. So I mean, it's interesting combat, but yeah, like you said, when there's those 2 enemies plus like an enemy with crossbow, and then someone walking up to you with like their sword, like it could be a lot and overwhelming. Like I probably like that last mob fight. I mean, I probably died like 7 times on that thing just trying to
yeah, the
fit,
one,
like,
yeah.
yeah, and so yeah, those are definitely the weakest part. And like the regular boss, there's like a couple boss fights, like I guess minor spoilers. So there's like a random boss fight you come through with like someone's got like a giant hawk that's throwing it at you, and it's just like it's so weird, it's so random,
Oh yeah,
and you just have to like
and then you never see it.
you
Again.
never see it again. So it's like it's weird. It kind of it feels out of place, but I never die by it, so I don't know like the.
I died once or twice.
Okay, so did you get like your like face ripped off or something?
Yeah,
Nice.
pretty much.
So yeah, like the boss fights are definitely the weakest part of the game, but I mean everything else is just pretty engrossing with the story, and just anytime like the rats are on screen, it's always it's I love it.
Yeah, it's super tense. We need to do a spoiler cast for this. and Xenoblade 3.
Yeah. I was thinking like maybe recording it in like a couple weeks and like maybe because I don't know if we're gonna do a podcast like on the week of Thanksgiving. So maybe
I'll put them up then.
I'll put them up then or something like that. So we'll figure a day out to record those. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very. I mean, again, I compared it to like something like The Last of Us, where it's just like you said, like very minor moments of like bliss, but the whole game is just dread after dread and just a bum sauce of the story. Like so
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about the ending.
Yeah.
And kind of talk about those final moments because they were really powerful.
Yeah.
But yeah, give this game a shot. Like, definitely play the first one first.
Yeah.
Definitely play Innocence. That one's like 10 hours. This one was probably 15 or so.
Yeah, I think I did it like on 16 or 17 hours, something like that.
Okay, so like a little bit longer than the first game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I never felt like any of the areas were too long. I think the chapters were split up nicely. Yeah, the pacing was really good. The voice actors were great. I mean, I had two separate occasions where I ran into progress breaking glitches, and it was due to me moving ahead farther than the game wanted me to move ahead.
Okay.
So it was like, there's a moment where the guy you're with gets stuck down in a place and you have to navigate him out. The guy with the big shield.
Yeah.
And instead of like lighting a fire behind him, I went ahead and just searching around.
Mm.
And because I did that, it caused him to glitch out, it caused me to glitch out. My character froze, and when I tried to reload, it still was glitching.
Oh, weird.
So I had to completely restart the game. So that happened twice, maybe 3 times. So that was a little frustrating, but other than that, game, it ran great. It's one of the prettiest games I've played.
Yeah, it's amazing looking.
Yeah.
Really highly recommend. Like if you can, I know the first one isn't on Game Pass anymore, but if you can find a copy of that, play it first, and then definitely check out this because it's great.
It's great.
It's really good. I guess I'll talk about Resident Evil. I got the DLC. Played through the Shadow of Rose campaign and finished it. It's super short. It's like 2.5 hours.
Wow.
I really wish they would have released this last year. Not that it was hard to go back to Resident Evil 8, but the Shadow of Rose DLC is only in third person. They don't have a first person option, so it doesn't feel as smooth of gameplay like Resident Evil 2 and 3 were. It feels a little bit stiffer, and it doesn't feel great. That being said, it also story wise, it doesn't add anything really to Resident Evil story at all. It kind of the ending of it takes place before Rose goes to Ethan's gravesite. Spoilers for Resident Evil, sorry. But before she goes to the at the very end of the game where she goes to the gravesite, and then that agent's Evelyn, and then she's no, whatever, at the very end. So it takes place before that part. And the whole premise of it is she doesn't want her powers, she's trying to get rid of them, and she has to go into they have a little sample of the metamycete that they have, and she goes into it, kind of projects herself into it, and that's the world that she in. So that's how you go back to the castle and stuff.
Okay.
So you go back to 3 different areas of the game. So there really isn't any new areas necessarily. There are aspects of the game that are a little bit different. But that being said, the puzzles and stuff are really cool. There's this doll puzzle you do. That's really fun. That takes place in what was the second part you go to?
House Beneviento.
Yeah, that one. You go back there, which when you do, I was like, oh gosh, because that was definitely the creepiest part of
Yeah.
that game, and it was the creepiest part of this DLC. Um, there is combat and again in the house part there actually isn't any combat either, which is kind of cool. But you start back in the castle and you go through like that with the merchant guy is kind of like the bad of the area, and that's all in like the trailers and stuff. But so there's like zombie enemies that are kind of like reminiscent of like the mold, which I mean I know it's still the mold, but like the mold enemies from like Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
And they just take up so much bullets. Like they are very spongy. And I think the game wants you to like run past them for most of the part because you do get like a ice ability or like a freeze ability. And again that's in the trailer. And you freeze the enemies and they'll stay stunned for like 5 seconds and then you can kind of run around them. But again, like the running isn't super quick. The movement doesn't feel super great. So I liked it, but again, like it didn't add anything to the story that I thought. Yeah. I mean, there is like one major moment like at the very end where which was cool, but other than that, like not much was added to the story. I don't know. It almost felt like it wasn't really necessarily needed. I mean, it was cool to go back to Resident Evil Village, but I would have rather. I mean, I'm glad I have it, but yeah, I'd obviously rather have a new game. But yeah, I think just the movement itself was like the main part I didn't like. It just didn't feel quite right, and they nailed like 2 and 3's controls and stuff. So
yeah, that's kind of a bummer because I don't know games where you're like entering the mind of something or you're like projecting into something else. Like it never really feels like you're making any progress or you're like moving the story along.
Yeah.
Especially in this situation where like, okay, you're really not learning any more about the Winters family.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like. So it's kind of a bummer. I still want to play it. You said it's what, 2.5 hours?
Yeah, I finished like right at like the 2.5 hour mark, and like people were saying like this is like the end of the Winters saga, but like again like it ends with Rose like working with like still working with Chris and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know where they're going to take it from there because I mean she does have those abilities, so she could be useful in like future games. I have no idea. But that being said, there is some really cool moments in like the DLC. I think like the castle part is cool. Like that's more of like the traditional Resident Evil. Like there's you're trying to collect these 3 masks to put on the statue so you can unlock this thing that you want.
Nice.
But when you get to like the house of Viento or whatever, like that's the part that really shines. Like the first half of it. And the second half, like you're playing hide and seek with these dolls, and if they catch you, like it's an instant kill just about. You do get like 2 hits, and then you'll die. But like as soon as they see you, they immediately get you. But there's one really creepy, like really like kind of terrifying part in like the first half of that the house going back to the house, where you have to you again have to get like the fuse for the elevator.
Of course.
So I thought the baby was going to come back or something like that, but it was something completely different, and it was kind of surprised me a lot, like how creepy it was. So that was kind of like the highlight of the DLC for me. But I mean, yeah, I it's $20. I haven't tried like the third person and the main campaign yet. I don't know if I'm even going to try it because like how like stiff the Rose DLC felt. And then I tried the Mercenaries, and like you don't get Lady Dimitrescu or Heisenberg right away. You have to unlock it, which I thought was kind of lame. Like you have to like I think at least get A on like one of the levels or something like that, which isn't super hard, but I really wanted to play as one of them, and I don't know if I want to do another run through one of the
Don't
new
have to
levels.
grind.
Yeah, so kind of a bummer. I didn't expect much of this DLC, but yeah, still kind of a bummer because Village was so good.
Yeah, that
But it's
I
2
mean, I
hours. Like
figured.
it's 2 hours. Like it's not a huge investment.
Yeah, I figured as much. Like it's a DLC. Like their DLCs are just never as good
No.
as the main game, and especially for Resident Evil. But they just kind of like hyped this up so much. Like they announced it, or they announced that they were working on DLC last summer,
Yeah.
like summer of 2021. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they could have just put their efforts into a new game, and they probably are. But
Yeah. I mean, they
yeah,
cranked it out pretty quick after they. I mean, they really just use. I mean, it's all the same exact assets. Like
yeah,
there's like maybe one spot, two spots that are like different, or like that weren't in like the original game, um, and that's really it. So, yeah, I mean,
yeah. Probably the biggest effort was the third person mode.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, if you're itching to go back to Village to play through that again, I mean, I beat that game like 5 times, so like I got my fill for that game. But yeah, I mean, if you liked it, it's $20 or whatever. If you haven't played it at all, I mean, get the
Go
gold
get it.
edition. Get everything. I think it's like $50, but yeah, it's a little bit of a letdown. But I give it like a 6 or 7. Out of 10 if I had
Okay.
to rate it. So.
Okay.
I'd say it's worth playing through if you.
If you like, I mean,
Yeah.
if you really, yeah, I got you.
I picked up Bayonetta 3. Obviously, I got like the Masquerade edition, which is beautiful, by the way. It's so cool
I'm
looking.
jealous.
I did pick up Mario and Rabbids as well, but I haven't even like broke the seal on it. I had a lot of time
Yeah.
this weekend to play anything. So I've played maybe like the first opening part of that game. Not even like maybe 30 minutes of Bayonetta. It's Bayonetta. It's over the
wild.
top crazy. If you didn't know that the voice actor was replaced, you really couldn't tell. Yeah, it's more Bayonetta, which I love. So
Yeah, I'm like 2 or 3 chapters in, and the combat is just bonkers with you controlling like these demons.
yeah,
Like that's like a major part of the game now, is like you like actually taking control of these monsters and having them fight with you. And I feel like it doesn't take away from the game. Like it doesn't fundamentally change the way that combat worked in Bayonetta 2 or Bayonetta 1. It really adds to it. Like I think it was such a cool addition, and you can see how ambitious Platinum Games was when they were making this game.
yeah,
Um, some parts look pretty ugly, to be honest, but the game runs pretty great. Like it's pretty smooth looking. Like it's pretty smooth running.
yeah,
But I'm having so much fun with it. I'm excited to. I've been like, it's been on my mind a lot. I've been like thinking about playing it more than I've actually played it, just because like I've been doing all these, like little house projects, and I
yeah.
keep getting distracted and
Yep,
never have
yep,
time to just like sit down.
yep,
So that's where I'm at. I do want to like really like just sit down and grind with this game for a few hours and just
yeah,
enjoy it, because like you said, it's over the top, it's ridiculous, it's fun. Just it's kind of a good. It's right. It's exactly what I needed after a Plague Tale.
yes,
Like it's just like you don't really have to think about it much. Just
no,
mash some buttons, do some combos, kill some humanoids.
yeah, humanoids, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever they are.
it's cool. Like I played it. I did play it on handheld.
Yeah, I've
for
only
the
played a handheld so
for the
far.
30 minute yeah for the 30 minutes I played. And you're right. It is a little muddy. Like I almost thought Bayonetta 2 looked a little bit better.
Yeah,
But I haven't played it on the TV yet, so I'll see how that looks. But
yeah.
I'm sure it
Great.
looks better on the TV. But yeah, I'm excited to dive into that, dive into Mario and Rabbids, and then
Yeah, another game I need to
freaking God
pick
of War
again.
next week, man. I might hold off on God of War until I don't know, man. I really want to play that too. Like reviews
I
drop
am not.
Thursday.
Hold
Like I if we're talking about God of War for a second, you ran a poll on Twitter like about like
on.
the what people thought their rankings are gonna be. And of course, everyone was like 95 and above. Like I don't think it's gonna be that. I think it's gonna be like maybe 90 is the highest, like 88, 87, 89, something like that. Anyways,
Yeah.
I I feel bad for any reviewer that doesn't give this game a 10 out of 10 because you already know people are like the fanboys are
I'm
gonna
not the
come
woodwork.
out.
Well, they're just biased.
Oh, they're just
They're Xbox Xbots.
Xbox. It's
It's
not a real thing.
it's it's gonna be interesting on Thursday.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really interesting. If this game gets like an 8 out of 10 by IGN, oh my god, the world
They'll
is gonna
probably get
implode.
it. They'll probably get. What did they give 2018 God of War? A 10 out of 10? 9 out of 10?
I think they did a 10.
Okay. And like that's what all the people were kind of saying that have gotten early copies. Like it's it's God of War Part 2, God of War. It's like it doesn't blow. It's not doing something drastically different, which that's kind of
Mhm.
like The Last of Us or like The Plague Tale. Like they didn't do anything like
It's
astronomically different than the first one. They just made it better
a
because
sequel.
it's a sequel. It's not a new IP. It's a sequel, and that's okay. Like it doesn't. I don't know. I've already seen some stuff like about a week or so ago. I'm like,
Yeah,
what do you want from this game? It's a PS4 cross-gen to PS5 game. Like it's not gonna be, or I don't even know what you would want it to be. I just want more God of War. I want more of the same, just better combat,
unless
better
they
boss
want like
fights.
an open world God of War. Like that's
I don't know if I would even want that. Like I feel
no, I
like
wouldn't.
the hub is really cool to explore. So I don't know. Like The Last of Us had like that city area where you could kind of travel on horseback, which was really cool. Um, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of the first God of War.
I mean, you get like to
For some
that
reason.
giant lake where like the snake is, the world serpent, and like
Yeah.
the
Oh, you
water
go around on a
changes.
boat a
Yeah, you
lot.
go around the boat. Like it's like the hub, like that little hub area.
Hmm.
Um,
Was there a horse?
no, I was talking about The Last of Us. Like in The
Oh,
Last of Us
sorry.
2, they have like the little hub area or like the little open area where you can explore and stuff like that. They did the same
Yeah.
thing like and I feel like a lot of like Sony games do that too. Like in Lost Legacies, Uncharted, there was like the big hub area you go to. You could explore a bunch of different things. I feel like a sequels to a lot of these games. Like that's the big thing. Like Gears 5 had like the big kind of like open areas too where you can explore. That's not
Uncharted
quite
4 had that.
yeah, so it's not like quite open world, but it's like a giant area, and I appreciate that. I don't necessarily need every single game to go open world.
They're always like 4 chapters in
Yeah,
too. It's always like
it
pretty
is.
early in the game where it's like, hey, here's like a go
Yeah,
go screw off for a little bit.
yeah. Go do some stuff. Get some weapon upgrades and whatever.
I wonder if it'll. I'm sure it'll have that.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm sure like you'll go back to like that hub area again and do some stuff. So but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited. I am excited. I booted up my PS4 for the first time in 2 years. 3
Make sure it was
years.
still working.
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah, since The Last of Us 2. Which I did. I played through that first opening act again. I don't know why I went back to it. I just did.
Nice.
That game is still beautiful. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure everything was good to go in case I get a day one so I can play it. But
Well, I'll be playing it on the PS5, so I'll
yeah,
report my findings.
yeah we'll have both the we'll
Both
talk about
consoles.
both versions because I have the base PS4 and that
Oh.
thing was taken off when I was playing Last of Us Part 2. Nick, you want to take
Yeah.
a very quick break? I'm gonna go say good night to Kellen, and then we'll
Yep.
jump into the news.
Yep. We'll be right back.
So we got some not so good news over the weekend. They announced that, or Henry Cavill announced that he will not be returning to the Witcher series on Netflix after season 3. He's going to be replaced by Liam Hemsworth going forward, and I am not happy because I actually really like the Witcher TV show.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, the season 1 was a little muddy with the whole jumping timeline thing. It wasn't like super. It was very hard to follow, unless you knew exactly what was going on. But I thought season 2 was really good, and I felt like he played Geralt like to a T. Like he did
It was
such
the
a
perfect casting.
yeah, he did such a good job. Like I liked all the characters and stuff, and I just don't understand. You know, if they were to say, okay, hey, you know, because obviously he's probably just signed like a big contract to play Superman again because he's back. So that's probably where he's going to be at for quite a while. So if there's like a conflict of schedule or something like that, which he also mentioned that I think he argued back and forth with the producers a little bit because he wanted the show to follow more of like the books and games, and the show creators kind of wanted to do their own spin on the series. So there's a little bit of conflict there, but
Yeah.
how often does a kind of a big series show replace the main character and it succeeds? Like, it's kind of
Oh,
wild.
never. No, like no one's gonna watch. No one's gonna watch season 4
Like I'll
with Liam.
watch it just to see like how he does, but like I just it, I just reboot it at that point, or do something else, or just cancel it. Just say, hey, season 3 is it,
Yeah.
and then do
'Cause
something else. It's just so bizarre to me, and it makes no sense. Like it's gonna be so weird. Like I don't know, the main character. You know, this isn't replacing Will Smith's aunt in Fresh Prince of Bel Air. That
no,
was weird back
no.
in the day, but that's not the main character. Like that's
This is like he is Geralt.
yeah,
Like at this point, like he is synonymous with Geralt, just like Robert Downey Jr. is synonymous with Iron Man. I
yeah.
mean, maybe not to that caliber, obviously, but the same standpoint still stands. Where
Yeah, and
it,
like Iron Man, there's been like other. I think there's been like you know, Spider Man. There's different variations of Spider Man, whether it's like Miles or Peter Parker or whatever. But like to do the same series, like if they were to say, hey, season 3 is ending with him, you know, we're gonna do another show, another Witcher show with Liam as playing as Geralt. But no, it's the same exact character in this
or
series. It's
like
just very weird, very weird.
or like they could have Liam play like another Witcher in a different time period or something,
Yeah, like that's
and,
fine.
and reboot it that way. But yeah, I think Henry Cavill could have fought for this more, like with all like the DC stuff going on with him being Superman. I think he could have kept
He could have made it
playing.
work.
He could have made it work, but from what it sounds like a lot of the writers and the producers on that show just didn't care about the source material
Yeah,
and were constantly trying to put their own spin on it, like you said. And Henry's like super passionate about the Witcher. He probably has more knowledge on the books than they do,
yeah,
and that probably caused like a lot of conflict because I'm sure the writers didn't want Henry Cavill, an actor, telling them how to write their show. But
yeah.
when he like if he knows more about it than they do, and the book is like if the book is written well, if the plots make sense, then follow the books. Like we saw how Game of Thrones had like how that went down when they went off script.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I'm super disappointed, to be honest.
Yeah, I really liked his portrayal of Geralt. Like I thought he just played it perfectly. And again, I don't have a problem with Liam necessarily. Like he may do a good job, but it's just weird to go into
weird.
season, like if you were not like a knowledgeable viewer and you went from season 3 to season 4, you're like,
What the hell is
what happened to Geralt? You know,
who's this new character they've introduced?
who's this Walmart version of Geralt? What is going on? So it's very weird, man. I don't like it, and it sounds like nobody's like. Obviously, I mean, even if you don't like the show necessarily, it's like it's weird. It's just so bizarre that they would
It doesn't make sense.
choose to continue it. Like, yeah, I wonder because they're still working on season 3, so I wonder if this maybe changes things with all the backlash.
I feel like season 3 is gonna suck now.
Yeah, because that show's supposed to come out, I think, next year. They've got a spin-off Witcher show coming, I think, next month, I believe.
Next month?
I think there's a Witcher show coming out next month. I think in December. It's like a spin-off, like a live-action spin-off.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I thought that was the case. But yeah, again, just super disappointing, super weird that they would just continue on without him. Like, I don't know.
He is the show. Like, he's the main character. Like, you can't just replace him.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I would be curious to see if anything changes now that this has come out and all the backlash and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. It's weird. Remedy has came out and said, you know, Alan Wake is still set to come out 2023. We haven't really heard much since they revealed it back in, I think, May, over during the Games Fest.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. They said that it's getting close to being finished. They're obviously in full production. They also kind of briefly mentioned, like, I didn't realize this, but there's 2 Control projects in the works. One codenamed Condor and codenamed Heron. Condor is a 4-player co-op PvE title, which I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I like co-op. I love co-op, but it's such, especially when you get older, it's such a hard ask for people to, you know, to have different jobs and stuff like that. It's really hard. I mean, I know some people can get together and have their game nights, but it's just really hard to get together anymore like that. Let alone just like playing multiplayer stuff by yourself.
Yeah.
And then Codename Heron is like their bigger budget control game. That's kind of in like the concept stage. So
Cool.
Yeah, they got a bunch of stuff in development. Yeah, I'm excited for Alan Wake 2, especially now that it's more of like a survival horror kind of thing than the first one was. So if that comes out next year, we're eating real good with survival horror.
Dead Space, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Alan Wake,
Callisto next month. I mean, yeah.
Callisto. Oh yeah, that's now next month.
Yeah.
Super hyped.
So
Super
that's
hyped
awesome.
For that. Yeah. So moving on to the next story, Phil Spencer has been doing a lot of interviews, and just a lot of information has been coming out.
Yeah.
Like with all the acquisition stuff. But it came to light that Microsoft is losing between $100 and $200 per console, per sale of each console. I'm assuming that's for the Series X. They're losing $200 and maybe losing $100 on the Series S.
Yeah.
And historically, Microsoft has never made a profit on the sales of their consoles, and most manufacturers don't. It's really only Nintendo that makes a profit on each sale of a console, and you know they've kind of always strived to do that. But yeah, it's just interesting to hear that, like, even at this point, 2 years in, they're still losing money on the sale of each console.
Yeah,
it's such a strange thing.
Yeah, and I think it's. I mean, I guess with just the supply shortage and supply chain, all that issues, like they haven't been able to. They probably haven't been able because, like, you know, between like doing like revisions, like the PS4 like Slim, you know, all that stuff, PS5 Slim, whatever they're gonna call it.
Mhm.
Like they'll go in there, they'll make minor like updates to their console. Like Nintendo did it with their with the Switch. They had like the version 2, whatever. They had like the better battery and stuff like that. So they do make those like minor changes behind the scenes that they usually don't say anything, or sometimes they do. It just kind of depends. But yeah, it's probably a lot to do with just the supply issues. They haven't been able to get in there and reconfigure stuff. So I'd imagine if there is like a slim version or an Xbox Series XS or whatever, that starts to get a little confusing. But if there's ever an iteration or something like that, I'd imagine they'd probably try to at least break even. But yeah, you're right. I mean, for the most part, like these consoles, these manufacturers don't make a lot of money, or if any, they usually lose. And that's when they, stuff like Game Pass, Xbox Live, controllers, peripherals, the games themselves, like that.
It makes up for the loss.
Yeah. Someone buys a $500 Xbox, you lose $200 on it, but then you're spending $400, $500 extra dollars on games and everything else like that. That more than makes up for the loss. So they just want you in the ecosystem, and that's what Microsoft wants. They just want you in it, and then you'll start, buying stuff. So it makes sense. But yeah, it is like you said, like 2 years after, they're still losing money. It's crazy, but I can see it.
Yeah. And keeping on Xbox for a second, I know this isn't in here, but I can't remember which interview it was in, but Phil Spencer said that it's likely that the price of Game Pass would increase.
Yep.
At some point in the relatively near future.
He was kind of talking about everything too, like games potentially increasing, maybe console, just wanting to get through like the holiday season right now, and then talk about that stuff later on.
Right, and I would hate to see like the price of the.
I don't see the console going up necessarily. I just don't see them doing that, but definitely like the games, I could see them pushing 70.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, pushing 70, probably increasing the price of Game Pass, which sucks. I mean, it's never a good thing when Game Pass or when like subscription services increase their price. I don't want to sit here and defend Xbox when Sony does the same thing, Netflix does the same thing. Like, it's all dumb. I understand it, I guess. They're putting all of their first party titles on there, and maybe the value will be higher in 2023 when games like Starfield, games like Redfall, maybe Avowed, like those kind of games are coming to the service.
Yeah.
But if they were to do that right now,
I don't think it'd be very smart. Like you said, like we'll get through the holiday season and then they can start making some of those moves. But Game Pass the Ultimate's already $15 a month.
It's getting up there.
$20, like they upped it to 20. That's a lot of money for a monthly subscription. Like that would be one of the most expensive ones out there. Like most streaming ones are $10, $5. So that's pretty expensive for a monthly subscription. But like you said, once they start getting into their more first party games, he also mentioned that too in one of those interviews that they need more first party stuff, which obviously we're scrapping over here for stuff. So yeah, I mean
yeah. If it was $20, like then you're doing the math. Like $20, that's $60 every 3 months. That means I have to play an Xbox game every 3 months to make up for what it would have cost to buy one. And it's like, okay, do I play an Xbox game every 3 months? And I think I do. I think you do.
Oh yeah.
But like the more casual player might rethink that. Like, hey, like maybe I don't need this service. Maybe I can just wait for games to go on sale. Like,
especially right now where there's no first party exclusives.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, the last time I played an Xbox first party game was Halo or Grounded.
Halo,
Grounded just came out, but So they, yeah, people start using that judgment, then sure. I mean, they're dropping stuff all the time on Game Pass that's definitely worth, I think, the the cost of admission. But you know, someone's like, hey, I could, I'm already playing. Maybe I play more on the PlayStation, and those games are there. I would just have to cop out $60 or $50, whatever they cost. So yeah, it's a tough sell, and I'd hate to see another service go up, but it's the way of the world right now.
Yeah, everything's going up.
Well,
but
go ahead and read it.
Yeah, speaking of things going up, PlayStation has actually lost 2 million PlayStation Plus subscribers in their Q2 of their fiscal year, and that's Q3 of the calendar year. So that's July to September. So they lost 2 million subscribers. And Harrison, I saw your TikTok on this earlier, but they kind of blamed it on people going outside more.
Yeah, it's
during those months, which you can't really blame that because the U.S. is only one part of the world.
Yeah.
On the other side, I guess Australia, South America.
Yeah, I mean,
it's warmer. I don't know.
You expect people. I mean, if you're gonna say, hey, it's summertime, people are going outside more. Of course, like people aren't going to be playing in their games as much, and maybe decided to cancel their subscription because maybe there's just not enough out there. But come on, like,
then that should be consistent with every single year, right?
Yeah.
It's like last year in our Q2 quarter, subscriptions went down.
I think like the last 3 quarters, like their subscriptions have gone down. So, and again, this is Xbox just came out and gave their numbers about Game Pass, where they're still on the up and up with Game Pass, but it's kind of starting to stagnate a little bit because
taper.
So many people have Game Pass now. And that's what like their quote unquote like excuse was for that. But I don't know, when you compare that to like, okay, we pretty much have the peak of what we can have with Game Pass versus Sony's just straight up losing 2 million. That's a little bit of a different story. So I saw some people commenting about excuses and what's relevant and what isn't, and yeah, I don't know. I just. Is it because people are going outside, or maybe the service just isn't great? You're putting your PlayStation 1 games behind a paywall, like the most expensive tier. I don't know. I don't have that service. I haven't tried it out for myself. But from what I can tell is it's not super great. So.
Yeah, to give specifics. Q4 of last year, which is Q1 with calendar year Q1, whatever. Yeah. First of this year. That was the first year that it went down, and it went down by 600,000. And then going from Q4 to Q1, it went down by 100,000, and then from Q1 to Q2, it went down by that the 1.9 million.
Okay.
And that was going essentially going from 47 million to 45 million users, which is like that's still a big number, but that's obviously the biggest drop that they've probably seen in the past few years, and it's hard to say.
This comes out right after their revamp of the service, so maybe. I don't know, people had the PlayStation, they saw that, okay, hey, let me see what they have to offer now, and maybe it just wasn't worth it, so they just were like, I haven't really been using it like that much, let me just cancel it altogether. I don't know the exact reasons, obviously, but
yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah, super interesting, because they sold more consoles this quarter than they did last quarter. 3.3 million compared to 2.4. And that was up on the year before that. So I wonder where the difference is coming from.
And it didn't. I thought I saw that most of the canceled subscriptions were like on PS4 base users or PS4 users. Did
I
I?
think I saw that too.
Okay. So I
So
don't know.
maybe it's just it could be people just leaving the PlayStation ecosystem.
Yeah, or maybe they just can't find a PS5 and they're just gonna hold just kind of
Hold
cancel
it all off.
everything and just maybe resubscribe once they can actually find a PS5, which apparently they're more in production this year, so maybe those people will come back. Maybe maybe people are just tired of the old system or something like that.
Mhm.
It's hard to tell, but that could very well be the case as well.
Yeah, yeah, that could definitely be the case.
Yeah, or I mean, or maybe all the Call of Duty news about potentially leave it. Who knows? I mean, they're
People are,
jumping ship or something like that. Yeah, it's hard to tell.
yeah.
It's hard to tell, but still
And then
very interesting.
just to dive into their financials a little bit more. You know I love this stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
I think
and
in Nintendo's financial earnings coming up pretty soon.
I think they're next week,
Next week. Okay,
sometime next week.
sweet.
So
So I want to
this,
hear about Xenoblade, see how well that sold.
I know I want to see
Excited.
it like hit 2 or 3 million. I think
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
huge. And then our
Uh,
final story, another PlayStation story, but it's on the up and up. God of War 2018 has now sold a little over 23 million copies.
yeah,
I think it was just at like maybe 19 or I think it was at 21, maybe 20 to 21 last year. And then obviously the release of the PC
Mhm.
version, jumped the sales up to over 23 million. So, is that now the highest selling PS3 game or PS4 game?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it higher than Spider Man? I feel like Spider Man's got to be higher.
Um, Let
Or
me
maybe
see if I
not.
can find it on here. I don't think so. I think, yeah, Spider-Man might be between like 15 and 20
Wow. Okay.
million.
Yeah. So that's awesome. I mean, God of War 2018 is obviously fantastic game.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to parse through this information. I think, yeah, I think it's around 15 million
Okay.
For Spider-Man.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, but yeah, 25 million for God of War. Oh my God, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. It's such a. I mean, yeah. I really hope Ragnarok is really good.
Mhm.
Because yeah, I mean that being one of their biggest franchises, not surprising. I mean, God of War's always been like a good seller, and Kratos has always been like a mascot for PlayStation. So it's not
Right.
surprising, but at the same time, it's like, wow, to sell that many is crazy.
Yeah. And then just
Not
the
not
last
being
thing
a
I wanted to
Nintendo
touch on.
franchise.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah, that's a good point. But the last part of this that I wanted to touch on was this quarter they sold 6.7 million first party titles. That's like like Horizon,
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank, Gran Turismo. Last quarter they sold, or the previous quarter, which was April to June, they sold 6.6, and then back earlier this year they sold 14.5 million. That was when Horizon Forbidden West and Gran Turismo launched. So
Okay.
that's where the bulk of that came from.
Okay.
So I'm interested to see where that lies next quarter once God of War Ragnarok is out and accounted for. And I guess this quarter captured Last of Us Part One. So
Yeah,
between
I'm curious to see how much that thing sold.
well, it didn't sell over 6.7 million. It probably sold like 3 to 4 million, and the rest of it was probably made up of Horizon and
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
You think it sold at least 3 million?
Oh, you think that's too high?
I think it is. I'm thinking like maybe a million.
You think so?
Maybe. Yeah. Unless I'm wrong, like I generally saw like majority of like negativity toward that game. Like more so than
Well,
I ever thought. I thought people would be. I mean, I'm sure that people are out there, and I mean, if you just love the franchise and you want that special edition, all that good stuff, then yeah, you're gonna get it. But I mainly just saw negativity towards that thing, so I expected that thing to kind of take. And also, like, Last of Us isn't a huge seller. Like, Last of Us Part 2 sold 10 million copies, 10 million plus probably at this point. But
Yeah, it's weird. They have like a list of all their franchises. The last reported figures for Part 2 is 4 million, but that was as of 2020. And for some reason, they haven't reported on them since then. Whereas like Horizon Zero Dawn, they reported 20 million as of 2021. So it's weird what they're choosing
to report on.
Yeah, to report on.
Because I would think, I would have thought The Last of Us would have sold better than Horizon, but maybe that's just a more appealing game.
Apparently not. Demon's Souls sold 1.4 million. Returnal sold 0.56, but that was as of August 2021. Ratchet and Clank sold 1.1 as of July 2021.
Yeah, I would like to know exact numbers for all their stuff, just to know.
Yeah, I wish they did it more like Nintendo. Nintendo has, at least at year end, they'll have exact numbers.
Yeah.
For like all of their games, or all of their first party titles. But yeah, I guess kind of like speaking to what we can expect for Nintendo. So like the games that are released in Q3 is what, just Xenoblade Live Alive,
probably Splatoon. We'll get
Splatoon.
Live Alive, probably.
That's probably it, right? Those three.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll get more. We'll probably get numbers on Kirby to see if that's like the highest selling Kirby game.
Probably not Metroid Dread.
Probably not. They probably
not until year ends.
Yeah. Maybe unless it sold over 3, then they'll push it. Which, I mean, it has to by now, right? I mean, it was on sale
like
for
2.94 million.
It was on sale recently for like $45. So like, come on, it's got to be.
Yeah.
I don't know why 3 million is like the number I wanted so bad. I just want another one. It's really what it is, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
They'll do another one.
Yeah, I think they will. Any more numbers for PlayStation stuff?
Aside from their, actually no, not really. Yeah, nothing too crazy.
Okay.
In here, it's weird. It's weird parsing through Sony's financial statements because they have like music.
Yeah, it is.
other subsidiaries in there, but yeah, it's kind of the long and short of it.
Sweet. Well, I think it's got leaked that the Last of Us show comes out in January, so that's exciting.
That's a lot sooner than I thought. I'm pretty hyped for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty really excited to see that. See how they do with that show.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll turn out really well.
Yeah, I mean, Naughty Dog is like co-producing it, right, or co-writing it, so
something like that.
I think they'll do. I just don't want it to be like a play for play for like the first game. Like I want it to be like a little bit different, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. But yeah, that is going to. Oh, Nick, God of War is out next Tuesday. Is that a day one for you?
That is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Wednesday. Is it Wednesday?
It's the 8th, right? Am I right?
Is that Tuesday or Wednesday?
It's Tuesday.
If it's Tuesday. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's traditional. We're back to the traditional Tuesdays.
Back to like Modern Warfare 3 in 2011.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously reviews.
Yeah,
we'll push you either way. But.
Yeah, we'll know Thursday the reviews. So we won't. Obviously, we record the podcast on Mondays, so we won't have any thoughts about the game yet, obviously. But That following week we definitely will. So, yeah, I think
Wait,
that's. Oh, sorry.
sorry, I think it comes out on the 9th.
Is it the 9th?
Yeah, because
A
I thought it was the
Wednesday?
day before my birthday. Yeah, it's the 9th. It's
Weird.
Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very weird.
I think initially they wanted to avoid uh Starfield, which was coming out 11/11.
Okay.
So it probably would have come out then, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why they did Wednesday. It's weird.
When do you think we'll get the next State of Play? Because it's rumored that we were supposed to have one like in the last couple weeks, but they didn't want to give any fire to the Activision Blizzard deal.
Yeah.
Which is
I don't know, maybe
it's such a Sony move to do that, by the way. But
right. All the exclusive content they had lined up.
yeah,
I mean, maybe. Actually, I'm gonna say not till 2023.
probably January or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would figure. I figured they may have something at the Game Awards, like something big there, like Spider-Man showing off that, or maybe the gameplay for the Wolverine or something. But yeah, we probably won't hear anything else in regards to a State of Play until next year.
Yeah. They're holding their cards close to their chest for now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the show. Everyone, appreciate everyone that's been listening. If you can leave us a nice review or a bad review on Apple Podcasts and your other favorite streaming platforms for podcasts, that would be most helpful. That would be much appreciated. Nick, where can they follow us on everywhere else, social stuff?
If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at Gaming WT Bros. We're on there. We tweet. If you want to follow us on TikTok, at Gaming with the Broscast. If you want to send us any emails, ask us any questions that we'll answer live on the air, you can email us at gamingwiththebros@yahoo.com. And lastly, we're also on Instagram, Gaming with the Broscast. It's all in the description. So
Yeah, all in the description. Check it out. But we will see you guys. We'll have more impressions on Mario and Rabbids. Nick, I know you're probably going to dive into that a little bit more. Yep. I'll probably crack that open eventually this week. Definitely more Bayonetta 3, of course. And then, whatever else we can. Yeah, and then God of War next week. All right, we will see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.